Before we dive into today's episode, I have something truly special to share. Next September, I'll be leading an intimate women's retreat through the south of France and northern Italy, and you're invited. Picture this: mornings exploring the colorful markets of the French Riviera, afternoons sipping wine, and a hotel view with golden Mediterranean sunsets. Whether you love photography, food, or just want to reconnect with your playful creative self, this trip is designed for you. Spots are limited, so if all this sounds like your kind of adventure, please visit tourwithabsolutely.com and look for the tour France and Italy with Crystal. You can also send me a message or check out the show notes. Hey guys, my name's Crystal Kenny, and I'm in love with creating. All things artistic and imagination involved. I'm an American girl who chased her creative dreams all the way to Paris, France, making a living using photography. This podcast takes you inside the stories of all the artsy folks I've met along the way and gives you that extra push to discover your creative gifts. The desire to create is deeply inside each and every one of us, and I give you the tools and inspiration to find a new way of living a more creative life. This is La Vie Creative, the podcast. So welcome to the show, Dom. How are you today?
Hey, Crystal. Doing great. A little hot, as I'm sure you are too in Paris, but I love this season.
My fans are going. I have double fan action going right now. It feels so good.
I do too. Yeah, that's the French AC. It's just a couple of fans.
Full of fans. That's all we have. That's all we got going for us. But I want to jump into your story. You had a successful 15-year career in global tech. So what sparked the shift to wellness and founding Well in France? Tell us more.
Yeah, well, I spent most of my career in marketing roles, and I'd say I felt like I was kind of living a double life because I was like this tech hustler by day, kind of ignoring my well-being for the sake of, the paycheck and getting things done and being a high achiever. But then in my time off, I was just obsessed with all things wellness. Like I was listening to podcasts and reading books, and I got certified as a wellness coach. And it felt like these two worlds were just very at odds with each other.
Yeah, you're like, I'm not well.
Exactly. I was like a weekend wellness warrior. And I dreamed of being like the full-time wellness girly. And I think, in my career, I was always doing events and curating experiences and building community. But for like tech and software companies, which was fine, but I always fantasized about doing that in service of something I really loved and cared about, which was wellness. And so when the moment came that I kind of got pushed off the cliff and my company was doing layoffs that I was a part of, I was like, great, this is the excuse I've wanted for a long time to just go all in on a wellness career. So pretty much the next day, I launched Well in France, or at least started building it and launched pretty shortly after.
That's amazing. So talk about that defining moment that made you realize it was time for change.
Well, to be honest, I did need that moment to be decided for me. I think, knowing myself, I do need a sense of security. I mean, most people do. But I think my nervous system was not ready to take that leap and just walk away from a completely comfortable, stable job and paycheck. I've got 2 kids, so it was felt like a big decision, a big risk to take. But in France, as you know, when you lose your job, you do have a nice safety net and you have a nice unemployment situation. So I was like, this is the security I need to go down this path and follow this passion and still have the nervous system regulation to do it in a way that feels really good and enthusiastic and not from a place of panic and scarcity.
Definitely. You need that little cushion, and France is pretty good for that. And talk about what originally brought you here and where you're from.
Yeah, so I'm from Northern California. I do have a French name, so people always assume that I'm going to be French, when they hop on a call with me. I live in Paris, and my name's Dominique. But my mom was a Francophile, so she just gave me a very French name. But spent most of my life in Northern California, and I guess the cheat answer to your question is I married a Frenchman. We met in California. He had been in the States for almost 20 years, had his citizenship. So it was never really on the table that we'd be moving back to France. He was very settled and stable there. And we always thought we'd just have a glorious annual vacation to France. And that would be us, enjoying the French life. But once we had our son in the Bay Area and looked into childcare options, we just thought, this might be a good time to give French life a try because there's so many better services for families and just, everything's a lot more affordable. So it was a bit of a practical decision, but also just being a little bit fed up with the hustle culture in Silicon Valley and just wanting to do something completely new.
Definitely. Yeah. They really help you take care of your kids here, and it's so affordable to get childcare, and kids start school at 3 here. It's wild.
Exactly. Yeah, it's much more doable. So we came as an experiment in 2018 and thought, what's the worst that could happen? We'll have a couple years, a couple stories to tell, and we can always come back. But it's been 7 years, and each year gets easier and better. And we have a whole life and community here now. So I don't see us going back.
Yeah, definitely. That's what happens. Life happens and we end up staying places.
Exactly.
So talk about how your marketing background helped you build this new chapter of your life.
Well, it's funny because I think I went into building Well in France being like, I've done this for so many companies. Of course I can do this for myself. Like I can create a business plan. I can create all the marketing. I can, get people engaged and on board. And I will say it's a lot harder to do the work for yourself when it's your own passion and your own business. I think it can be really challenging because you're so in it. You don't have like the outside perspective or any distance from the work you're doing because the work is so connected to you as a person. So I think I did a pretty good job getting it off the ground quickly, but I still worked with a brand consultant to help me refine all my messaging because I needed to be able to know how to talk about my business from an outsider's perspective and have it be understood. So that was really helpful. And I would say a big part of Well in France is community. We have a really strong community here in Paris. It's for international women who are seeking more vitality and well-being in their everyday. So that the niche is sort of women who are not from France, but who are building a life in France and want to do it through the lens of well-being and just feeling as alive as they can feel, which can be hard to do when you're starting over in a new place. And I think the community building in my career definitely helped me know how to create really meaningful experiences and facilitate connections for people. And that's turned out to be such a big part of my business that I didn't expect, is the community aspect.
Yeah, so tell us more about Well in France. What exactly do you do? What can people do with the company? Tell us more.
Yeah, well, it's really a wellness experience business. So when I started it, I had the very cute and maybe a little bit naive idea to just do wellness retreats all the time because I had hosted a couple as a side project while I was, working full time and just loved it and thought, I want to do this all the time. What I quickly realized is hosting retreats nonstop is a recipe for burnout, which is not super congruent with like the wellness vibe I'm going for. So the Well in France offering has really expanded to be 3 things. It is retreats are a big component. I do a few retreats per year, and I work as a consultant for other people's retreats and help them with the development and marketing of their own retreats. And then there's the Paris-based community where we have smaller in-person events for either wellness entrepreneurs or wellness enthusiasts. So there's kind of like 2 branches of it. And then the third is corporate wellness. So working with companies to develop wellness workshops and offsites so that they can support their people in a more meaningful way. And so that's the whole Well in France menu.
I love that. You guys are doing all kinds of things. And why the name Well in France? What does it mean to you personally?
Oh, thank you for asking, because I love the name. To me, it's sort of like the answer to the question, like, how are you doing in France? Like, I'm doing well in France. Like, I'm doing really well. Life is good in France, but it also speaks to, wellness and what that means. Like, what does it mean to be well? And for me, France is where I have found the definition of wellness. Not to say it's a perfect place and I'm just happy and balanced all the time, but I think that in terms of a place that aligns and supports my values of how I want to live and how I want to show up and how I want to prioritize things, France is just such a great place for that, for me to achieve that sort of life and value system that I'm going for. So, yeah, for me, it speaks to just finding the place that helps you live well and finding out what wellness means to you.
Love that. And talk about how you would describe your approach to wellness. Like, how does it differ from the typical American wellness model?
Oh, gosh. Yeah, I love this topic. I would say the biggest difference between the American and French approach to wellness and how I relate more to the French side of things is I think the American wellness culture is really about extremes. It's about trends and quick fixes and the trendiest new product and, tech. And I think Americans, and I can say this because I am one, we're very attracted by whatever is new and flashy and exciting. And I think we tend to go for extremes because we feel like if it's extreme, then it must be good and it must work. And of course, the French are very skeptical of trends and extremes and much more in favor of balance and nuance and moderation. And I think that was a big shift for me. I was much more of an extremist when I was in the States. And wellness for me back then was really about fitness and eating healthy and kind of the more superficial elements of wellness, following rules, following a protocol, like checking the boxes. Versus in France, I think wellness is much more about how all the pieces of your life fit together. And are they all being nourished and acknowledged? And do you have space in your life for all of those things to exist? When you think about work and family and social life and physical health and spirituality, like, is there space in your life for all of those things? And I think in the US, I was so much of a maximizer that it wasn't really about quality of life and wellness. It was more about like quantity or just, checking the boxes, doing the right things. And France, I think, just allows more nuance. Like, they're not about following strict rules. It's more about designing your life with the seasons and whatever's going on at the moment. And I think this time of year is such a great example of that. Like during summer, when everyone like is on vacation, it is a true stereotype. Like the city and work just gets so quiet in July and August, and people accept that. This is going to be a slower productivity time of year because we are recharging ourselves.
Definitely. I think that's so true. And it's so funny to see such a big city like Paris just like it's closed, like 'cause you can never see like New York doing that or San Francisco. It's like, what? Everything's closed. You just all left. Like what?
It was shocking to me. I think just realizing that France is so uninterested in maximizing profitability and businesses like that could be open and could be making all summer, but they're just like, no, I made enough. That's fine. Now I'd rather just enjoy my life.
Yeah, and I think it's also part of that like socialism aspect where it's like the more you make, the more they take. So like, why bother?
Right. Yeah.
You made enough. You can live. It's all good.
So true. Yes, the French are so good with just enough. Like enough is enough.
So you already did, but talk about some of your favorite French rituals or practices that support a more holistic life besides like our summer vacations and things like that.
Yeah. Well, I will say it was a little frustrating when I first arrived that the French are not as extreme as Americans, because I was like, where can I find, a 7 a.m. yoga class to do before I go to work? And that just didn't exist. So I think that I've found, let's see, what practices do I enjoy? I like the rituals of just mealtime, like how there are set meal times, like we eat lunch from 12 to 2, and dinner is like, 7:30 to 9:30. And then there's the goûter right at 4:30. Like that is the time that ever since French people are children, that's like programmed into them. At 4:30, you have a snack. And so I like these little rituals because it just punctuates the day in a way that feels very balanced and not so chaotic. What else do I love? Yeah, besides the vacation, I mean, the vacation's definitely my favorite, but I think, how just going back to meals, like they really take their time. It's slow. Like you go to someone's house for dinner, it's going to be like a minimum 3-4 hour affair. There's nothing going on afterwards. Like that is where you're going to end your night. So I think they indulge more in the moment and in little things, small pleasures.
Definitely. I completely agree. Those long dinners, holy cow.
Yeah.
Gotta do all the things. You gotta talk with the drinks before you, a little aperitif. You gotta have the cheese course. You gotta have it all. It's a fun night.
It's a marathon. Yeah.
And can you share a well in France moment that perfectly encapsulates your mission?
Yeah, let's see. So I've been hosting events here in Paris for the past year and a half, and those have been really fulfilling. I think I'm trying to decide. I launched a new series this year called the Women in Wellness Dinner Series, and it's a table of 10 to 12 women who are either wellness enthusiasts or wellness entrepreneurs, and they come together and just instantly have that in common. And the conversations, the relationships, the collaboration that sparked from those dinners is truly magical. Like seeing people that were introduced at those dinners now working together, co-hosting events, or becoming business partners is so fulfilling. But I think one that really captures, I guess, my mission is the most recent retreat that I hosted in Provence in May. We always have a closing circle at the end and just open it up for people to share what they got from the experience. And this time it was just so many tears, but, tears of joy and tears of transformation. And it was just really fulfilling to see that this experience I believe in so much, which is taking yourself out of your kind of everyday autopilot life and changing your pace, changing your place to change your perspective. Like seeing that actually happen for people and seeing them have breakthroughs and see their life in a new way was just the most satisfying moment for me.
Yeah, no, making that connection, because there's all this talk about AI and computers and these screen time, and it's like coming together and meeting people and having a real energy exchange is like something that I think we're all going to be wanting for a long time.
Yes, I totally agree. I think like the human connection is so more powerful than ever, honestly. And I think people are going to be craving it more than ever as everything becomes bot driven and, AI generated. So I'm so, I'm so happy to be like promoting in-person connections.
And talk a little bit about building a community in a foreign country. That can be kind of daunting. What have been some of the most rewarding or surprising parts of that journey?
I think at first, when I first came to France, I really resisted making friends with Americans because I thought that would be like cheating. I wanted to really try and integrate and make French friends and become French. And it was like I had something to prove to, I don't know who, but I really resisted that as like taking the easy route. And after a couple of years, I just realized it's so comforting to be around people who get it, who are in the same situation as you, and who the connection is just so easy with. And so I just decided, like, I'm going to take this pressure off myself and just let myself do what feels easy, which is make friends with international women. And if I make French friends, that's great. That's a bonus. I am super open to that. But I wasn't like putting that boundary around myself anymore. And I think the community building in Paris was the surprising thing was that so many other people were desperate for it. I sort of thought expats all kind of had their crew and you come and you meet people super easily, but that's not what I've been hearing from women when they come to the women in wellness dinners. They're like, wow, these are the people I've been looking for years and I haven't found them. So I think that's a good surprise, is knowing that these types of facilitated experiences are so powerful and so needed.
Definitely. Yeah. I think one of the big parts of moving to Paris a lot of people don't talk about is the loneliness. Like you get here and it's super lonely and you're just trying to find, it's like dating for friends. You're trying to find your people.
Yeah, exactly. And I think at first you're sort of like, well, I guess I just have to be friends with this person because we're both from the same country. And sometimes you feel like you're maybe settling a little bit because you just need to make a friend. And then as time goes on, you're like, oh, okay, there are like more people that I have more in common with, more than just like, we speak the same language. So it can take a really long time. And it is like dating. It's a lot of trial and error.
Yeah, definitely. Friends by proximity instead of like common interests.
Yes.
Like, got to find your people.
Exactly.
And how do creativity and intuition show up in your work with Well in France?
Well, one of my big wellness rules is make your own rules. And I think that's kind of my definition of creativity too, is living a life that pleases you and isn't meant to please everyone else. Like really making your own rules and realizing that there are no rules. And so I think you can be creative just by living life on your own terms and not succumbing to the social pressure to do things a certain way, which to be honest is really strong in France. I think it can be a very conformist culture where it's like we all do this at this time and that's just the way it is. And as an American, sometimes that can feel so like stifling. So that's been a practice for me of letting go of the pressure to like fit into the French way of life and actually bring my own California flair, American flair, whatever, my own style to things and know that I'm not going to fit in. I'm going to stand out. And that's okay because that's me living for me and not for the approval of everyone else.
So true. And you describe yourself as a wellness educator, an experience curator. What kinds of experiences do you design and what makes them special? Now, you talked briefly about this, but tell us more.
Yeah, well, it started out with these immersive retreats. I love to design a multi-day experience because I think the longer you are in this immersive container, the more transformative it can be. So I do love retreats because it really gives people time to, again, change their perspective, like get out of their usual routine and have time to live differently, see things differently, just reconnect with themselves. Because I think we get so busy that we even forget, like, why am I doing this? What do I even enjoy? Like, I'm just going through the motions. I'm just showing up and taking care of my responsibilities. So to give people space to really like let all that dust settle and be able to see things more clearly is my favorite. And I love curating all the activities that can help people get to that place where self-discovery can happen. So the retreats are definitely a passion project that I'll keep doing. And then the dinners are sort of like a mini curation experience where it's really about curating the group. Like, how do I market these events in a way that people can self-identify? Like, yes, this is for me. I want to meet other people that have my same values. And then just little special touches. Like, I love making people feel seen and special. So there's always, individual like nameplates, there's little gifts, there's little surprises, decor, like down to the playlist and the lighting. Like, I really think that environment shapes how we feel. And so I try and really pay attention to all those little details for the dinners as well.
It's so fun. Yeah, definitely what you look at makes a lot of feelings and it can definitely change your whole experience. That's really cool.
Mm-hmm.
And what advice would you give to someone who's craving a lifestyle pivot but is unsure where to begin?
I think it really is about getting some distance from your everyday routine. I think it's really hard to think creatively when you're just kind of on rinse and repeat and going the same places, doing the same things day after day. So I'm a huge fan of changing your environment, whether that's at a retreat or you just go away for the weekend by yourself somewhere new. I think that's a great first step in reconnecting with your desires and really owning them and letting yourself have those desires. So I would say change your pace, change your place. That's always a great way to get a new perspective and figure out what your next creative step might be.
Yeah, I definitely agree. I think that was a big thing for all of us with the pandemic where we were all like, oh, wait, what? What do I like? Do I like my husband? Do I like my kids? Do I like my job?
Totally.
We're all sitting around just like totally changing our life for, a year. And I think a lot of people had a big wake up.
Yeah, because busyness, constant motion, just keeps us so distracted. And then a year goes by and we're like, wait, what am I doing?
Yeah, who am I? What do I like? So what's next for Well in France? Are there any upcoming retreats, programs, or dreams you're excited about?
Yeah, a couple of things. I mean, I am going to take the summer off, as the French do, which is really hard for me because I've got a million ideas all the time and tons of things on the backlog. But I'm taking a real break this summer. But in September, we have a weekend retreat in Sète. So that's on the Mediterranean, not far from Montpellier. Beautiful, actually beautiful town for artists and creatives, little seaside village. I don't know if you've been.
Never. I've heard about it, though. It sounds beautiful.
Yeah, it's really special. So we have a weekend retreat there that's kind of like a beach vacation meets wellness getaway. It's 3 nights. And then I am launching kind of a new community program in the fall that's going to be just a lot more robust with a lot more in-person and online events so we can deepen the connections between all the women in the Well in France community. So I'll be launching like a full membership program in September and lots of events and content to engage with there.
Lovely. And where can people connect with you and learn more?
Well, I am on Instagram as Well in France. I also have a newsletter that I send about once or twice a month. It's highly curated. So I spend a lot of time on that. So people can subscribe at wellinfrance.com to the newsletter. And then I'm also on LinkedIn trying to spread the wellness gospel to the professional world over there as Dominique Farrar. That's my name.
Wonderful. Well, we'll share all that in the show notes. And I really appreciate you sharing with us today.
Oh, it was such an honor. So good to talk to you, Crystal. Thank you for having me.
Thanks so much for tuning in to La Vie Creative. You can find more information on MissParisPhoto.com. And if you enjoyed this show, please feel free to share and spread the word for all my creative guests. We have the power to help them to keep doing what they love. See you next time.